Many thanks for tuning in once again. Remember, you can watch the bulletin across the world on our social media platforms. Now, we begin from the courts as third accused person, Richard Jakpa, has said he was healthy at the time when the Attorney General, Godfrey Adame, was pressing on him to procure an excuse duty to secure an adjournment. According to him, at the time he was being coerced by the Attorney General, Godfrey Adame, and asked to get the medical excuse duty, he was fit as a fiddle and could not have lied to the court. Dr. Atuforsen, the current minority leader in Parliament, and businessman Richard Jakpa have been accused of willfully causing financial loss to the Republic to the tune of €2.37 million through the purchase of ambulances. Speaking to EIB Network's legal affairs correspondent Mutala Inusa after his Thursday's cross-examination by the Attorney General, Mr. Jakpa also said crime against the state has no expiry date.
If you look at the document that I was confronted with, do you feel hurt? Does it hurt your case?
No, not at all. In fact, it's a diversionary tactics employed by the Attorney General trying to discredit my credibility because he had engaged himself in criminal conduct and trying to coerce me to commit a crime by implicating Honorable Atuforsen and answering questions to make his case good in court, and also procure a dubious fake excuse duty to deceive the court.
You say you were as fit as fiddle?
Yes, to deceive the court. And as at the time he was impressing upon me to procure a fake excuse duty to deceive the judge and the court so he could travel, I was as fit as a fiddle. So I couldn't lie to the court. So I refused.
Why didn't you go to the police station and make that report?
Oh, that is yet to be done because the evidence is still there. And I will wish to remind you, crime against the state has no expiry date. So at any time of my convenience, I can go and lodge the complaint.
Meanwhile, the businessman also spoke about his face-to-face encounter with the Attorney General for the first time since making the allegations against him. He said he was surprisingly charged on a non-existent charge.
For the first time today in court, you had the Attorney General, you had a face-to-face encounter with the Attorney General. How did you feel at the time that he was on his feet to subject you to cross-examination?
You know, the Attorney General only started the cross-examination after we had passed the stage where he engaged himself criminally. He waited after the Deputy Attorney General had passed that stage. Then he came to now deal with the contract.
Were you disappointed?
I wasn't disappointed because between you and me, this is a man who lacks character. He lacks conscience. He has no respect for any decency. All that matters to him is the end. And he doesn't really care how he achieves it. Whose image he destroys along the way. He doesn't really care.
He made the point that because he rejected your request for a plea bargaining or for you to be used as a prosecution witness, that is why you are doing all these.
That cannot be. The Attorney General had already promised me that I was going to go off at the submission of no case.
You believe him at the point?
Just hold on. Because to him, I was just a mere agent. But I was being used because as a collateral damage. Because in political trial, there must be a collateral damage. Some people must be sacrificed, and that I should know that. And it's Atuforsen they are going for. So I will go off at the submission of no case. But unfortunately, at the submission of no case ruling, I was asked to open my defense. And even the most amazing aspect of it all is that I was asked to open my defense on a faulty charge, on a non-existent charge. A charge that the Attorney General had not charged me on. But then the court said in its ruling that a prima facie case had been found on me on a different charge that I was not charged on. I have not pleaded guilty to it. I don't even know about that charge. So they didn't establish a prima facie case on the charge that Attorney General charged me on, but rather on a non-existent charge that I didn't plead to. But be as it may, we are at the Court of Appeal on it, on that particular one. And the proceeding at the High Court is still ongoing. That one is passed. We will deal.
Away from the courts, government's Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program was meant to ensure that vulnerable groups such as orphan children, persons with severe disability without any productive capacity, and elderly persons who are 65 years and above receive cash support every other month for their upkeep. However, since February 2024, these cash payments have not been made. The following report tells the story of a single household facing financial hardship due to these delays and its impact in care for their 32-year-old son with severe disabilities. At Abokobi, a suburb in the Greater Accra region, 59-year-old Mary Bojo readies her 32-year-old son Odate for the day. Due to the severity of his disabilities, Odate relies solely on his mother for everything, making it difficult for Mary to work in order to cater for the family. To help ease her struggles, Odate was put on the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program 7 years ago.
I was previously selling Gary to sustain my family, but 7 years ago, some people came to town to write the names of people with sick children. They started sending us money every 2 to 3 months.
4 years into the program, Mary managed to put up a small provision shop through the cash grant of 120 cedis she receives every 2 months.
I am happy whenever the money comes in, because we are able to use it for a number of things. Though the money is not enough, I am able to manage.
Despite the reliance on these bi-monthly cash grants, Mary, like other lead beneficiaries within the Ga East Enclave, laments the lack of consistency with the payments. Since February 2024, no payments have been disbursed.
For months now, we have not received any payment. I was hoping it comes in soon to allow me buy some few things to restock. This way, we will depend on process from the shop until the grants come in. It is not easy.
Mariama Isa is a coordinator for the beneficiaries around Abokobi and says the situation is not peculiar to the area alone.
Beneficiary na me coordinate omo. Sometimes na ebi wo hokra na ni odi beto duane edi kra na oni bi.
Some of the beneficiaries that I coordinate with are so poor that what to eat is even a problem. I even resort to giving them my own money sometimes.
In June 2023, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection announced plans of a 100% nationwide increment in the grant to reflect the worsening global socio-economic crisis. But Mariama says the joy of beneficiaries was short-lived.
I have been in touch with other beneficiaries and the situation is the same. There is so much pressure on us as coordinators because the beneficiaries keep calling me to find out if the money has been distributed. They are always disappointed with the response. I am a beneficiary myself, so believe me when I tell you that these delays are taking a huge toll.
Civil society organizations have consistently lamented on the effects the delays in payments is having on these vulnerable groups. Dr. Esther Ofeya-Boaje, who is the former director of the Institute of Local Government Studies, says any delay in payments can spell doom for many households relying on the LEAP grants.
It also impacts on their dignity, it impacts on their sense of self-worth, because if you've contracted a loan or you've made a commitment to make a payment by such and such a date and the money doesn't come and people have to keep coming after you, it chips away at your sense of self-worth. So delays like that are not just a matter of course. They mean somebody. They make a difference of life and death to a beneficiary.
While beneficiaries anxiously await the next payment, Dr. Ofer says government must address the inconsistencies that characterizes the program.
It's also a right. We keep saying that social protection is a right. It's a right to be able to benefit from taxpayers' money in that way, so that if they are so equipped in turn, they can also contribute to taxes.
Data available indicates by the end of 2023, the LEAP program had extended its reach to approximately 350,580 households, benefiting around 1.5 million individuals nationwide. Now, the resident coordinator of the United Nations in Ghana, Charles Abani, says regardless of how domestic resources are generated, they will be insufficient in solving the country's problems. Speaking at the second Civil Society Organizations Forum in Accra, Charles Abani highlighted the governance challenges across Africa and urged CSOs to focus on conceptual issues that could guide Ghanaian voters' choices in the upcoming December 7 elections.
At an inflection point, strategizing for increased legitimacy, effectiveness, and sustainability was organized by Star Ghana Foundation and its partners. The forum serves as a common platform for CSOs in Ghana to deliberate and reflect on their work as facilitators of good governance and inclusive development.
It's a call to action to all of us, whether we are operating at the national level or the local levels, that we have a role to play in the development of this country. We are critical to achieving a just and equitable society, but we cannot fulfill that mandate. We cannot fulfill that purpose if we don't put our house in order, if we don't speak with common voice on critical issues, and we don't nurture, support, and criticize each other where necessary.
The maiden edition, hosted by Star Ghana Foundation in March 2022, was on the theme Reflections on the Conceptual and Developmental Issues of CSOs in Ghana and the Sustainability Challenge.
Constructing the norms of a society constitute and that we can associate with being civil is an area of work that Ghanaian civil society, indeed global civil society organizations, need to pay a lot more attention and to discuss the society we want to see, to which we associate with being civil.
The guest speaker and UN Residence Coordinator, Charles Abani, expressed unhappiness that Africa is not benefiting from democracy.
We are seeing that no matter how we define domestic resource generation, it's going to be insufficient to solve the problem. Ghana's estimate 43 billion a year between now and 2030 to achieve the SDGs, not including the issues that have come along since then, COVID, impacts of different things. Unless we actually find new and different ways of generating resources, we will not succeed.
He urged CSOs to go beyond the simplistic analysis to help Ghana's democracy to work.
Are you just an oxygen for a democracy that holds us in inertia? Or are you the oxygen for a thoughtful democracy that will actually change things? And so in this last 6 months, rather than the identities that people have around political affiliation or not, focus on these conceptual issues and who's driving and going to deliver the best change. And maintain the appropriate distance you can, that you must approach in order to maintain your legitimacy from either one of these two contesting notions about how to deliver a better Ghana.
The forum attracted over 300 participants who deliberated on 3 sub-themes: ensuring legitimacy with constituents and stakeholders, achieving effectiveness as organizations, and ensuring sustainable operations, revenues, and impacts.
One thing that I think...
Watching Newsroom live on GHOne TV with me, Nadeema, Umar, Uthman. Let's do some politics now. As Member of Parliament for Korle Klottey constituency, Zanetor Agyeman-Rawlings says it is important for politicians to maintain respectful speech amid current economic challenges in the country. Addressing the high cost of living, she highlighted the role of political accountability in contributing to these issues during an interview on Star Chat with Bola Ray.
If we are not going to stop this playing around in terms of the politics and understand that there is a direct relationship between what we do or we don't do in the political space and how it impacts people's lives. You see, I think that a certain level of there's almost a kind of a buffer that people are creating around themselves when it comes to politics. And it's like, oh, well, you know, this is just political talk. Well, you know what? We should start being responsible for what we say politically.
And this regardless of which party. You're not saying whether MPP or NDC, it's the politics.
We should all just start being responsible in terms of our utterances.
The Member of Parliament also expressed her readiness to accept any future call to serve as a flag bearer or running mate for the NDC. The legislator described such opportunities as a call to duty that requires little deliberation.
It's a call to duty. I would accept. It's a call to duty. For me, the issue of a position of responsibility is not about the privileges and the perks. It's about what can you do, you know, to actually support, to serve. And if you're being called upon to do something of such, you know, magnitude, it means that there's something that you're doing that people feel that you could actually make a contribution to. And I believe that from the point of view of call to service, you have a high, well, yes, I think you're suddenly taken away from I am thinking about it to you've been asked to. Now you must decide, will you serve or will you not?
Government has assured residents whose properties are affected by the ongoing dualization of the Kaswa-Winneba stretch of the Accra-Cape Coast Highway will be compensated. Traditional leaders in the affected communities had lamented delay in payment of compensations during a visit by the Minority Caucus of the Roads and Transport Committee. But addressing the media during a visit by the members of the committee to the site of the project, CEO for the Ghana Highway Authority, Collins Donko, and Chief Director of the Ministry for Roads and Highways, Engineer Dr. Alhaji Abbas Muhammad Awolu, disclosed that though some compensations were paid in 2006, an assessment will be done to ensure everyone with a legitimate claim is paid.
The community members affected by the dualization of the Kaswa-Winneba Road had expressed concerns about delays in payment of their compensation. Speaking to the matter upon the visit by the Roads and Transport Committee, the officials of the Ghana Highway Authority, as well as the Ministry of Roads and Highways, indicated that some affected residents have already been paid their compensation since 2006. However, much time has elapsed, and if there are any new claimants of compensation, an evaluation will be done and compensation be paid.
We pray that there will not be any encumbrances where people frustrate the process to stall the project and even to extend the completion date. So that is why we are hoping, and I'm happy that you have assured that.
We'll bring you the full report in our subsequent bulletin. We'll bring you that full report later on this bulletin. But a physical security professional, Robert Alexander Budulabi, is calling for a relook of a directive for all private security officers to wear a common uniform. It follows a recent directive from the Ministry of Interior cautioning against the use of unapproved uniforms by private security organizations following the arrest of 2 individuals for breaching the regulation. Per the regulation, private security personnel are to wear white shirts with ash khaki trousers, cream shirts with brown khaki trousers, mauve shirts with maroon trousers, and yellow shirts with reflectors over brown khaki trousers. Yeah.
Instruction from Interior and the IGP about all security companies wearing the same uniform. Some of us don't think it's a well thought out thing, because, when the companies had their own uniforms, you could straight away identify this is company A or company B or company C. But now you've put all of them together. So in case of crime, you can't really differentiate it is, yes. And
particular company.
Yes. And even when you even look at it, I mean, I'm sure those in charge might not want to agree with you. When you look at it technically by the Act, if you look at it, that instruction is not it's not covered by that Act. The IGP is only supposed to approve. So, for example, the law says that if you want to start a security company, take a sample of your uniform to the IGP for him to look at it. So that if it doesn't bear semblance to the armed forces, the police, and the prison service. And now we even have more institutions. We have immigration, all those things. So that part also has to be looked at. If it doesn't bear any semblance, then he gives approval.
Okay.
So some of us are asking, so where is it in the law that says that you
all
can
should be
prescribe?
Right.
Because I believe there is I'm not a lawyer, but I think that the difference between approve and prescribe. So that is one of the challenges that industry watchers or players are saying, that can it be looked at? Those are some of the challenges. I mean, we need a holistic approach. Stakeholders, Interior, police, APSOG, other private people, private security organizations to say, let's say, look, what best can we do? Because when you look at the laws in South Africa, Kenya, and UK, they are beautiful. And they contribute to the economy. That conversation should be had. There should be that conversation. And they should give us reasons why. I believe that the reasons for putting us was just simplistic, to avoid the detailed work of regulatory, bring and check and all those things. So it's okay, everybody wear this blanket instruction, which I think it's rather counterproductive. It goes against security, You can't, I mean, just yourself. I mean, for example, you walk through town. Can you really identify the security companies? You can't really, you just see the same uniform, ash, white, move, this, brown, white, So that is a conversation I believe that the industry and the regulators should sit down and have.
Okay.
On the issue of private security personnel carrying firearms, Robert Alexander Budulabi noted with the right training, some groups of security personnel can be allowed to carry firearms. He added that it is important to start having conversations on this issue since countries like South Africa have already started arming private security personnel.
I think with the caliber of the people we have in the industry and our systems now, it's quite dangerous. Other countries, we go to the Francophone countries, they do it, but Anglophone countries don't. I don't know if it's from our traditional British history or colonial day, but it's a conversation that can be had. For example, if I were a regulator, I would put in a proviso like, okay, fine, those that work in some sensitive areas can be armed.
Okay,
but depends on their training, and they should have a certain kind of training.
And that's what you talk about, the lack of training in the regulations.
Like, for example, so for example, in South Africa, they're all armed. South Africa has a high crime rate and stuff. So it's like, okay, fine. Anybody in that, maybe cash in transit, bullion, you should have this training, this specific training for these people. Maybe get people from a certain background, ex-soldiers, ex-police, ex-security. They can be trained, because they've already been trained to handle firearms in the mines and all those things. And that would even reduce the pressure on the Ghana Police Service if all these problems where they're having, you go to the banks almost, we have policemen all over the place. You go to the mines and military and those countries. But if you can have that, proviso in it, a specialist training for, let's say, armed, it's not every place. but certain high-risk industries, it can be, because I believe that rich person is quite intelligent to be trained to handle well. But then it all boils down to regulations, the procedures and stuff that have to be done. So it's a conversation that we can decide to look at, whether we should arm them. Now the law says no, we don't arm them, but it is what it is now. But going along in the future, I think we can look at it. It would help because the private security industry is supposed to augment or help the regular law enforcement, the police services. I mean, that's what I said. Look at our numbers. The police can't, and they will never. It will never. South Africa, the numbers are huge. In Kenya, it's huge. The public services will never. Because actually even cutting down. So no matter the number of people you recruit, it will never be up to the numbers of the private security. So we should rather look at regulating them properly so that they become helpers. Yes, for our industry.
Away from issues of security, Medical Director of the Ifia-Nkwanta Regional Hospital, Dr. Joseph Tambil, has expressed fear over the sustainability of the facility's human resources. Some 40 health professionals from the hospital have left the shores of the country in the last 12 months, adding that though the facility is able to manage the shortfall, it can challenges in the future as others are in the process of exiting. EIB Network's Joseph Kobnamwa has the rest of the story. The current rate of attrition of health workers has been described as unprecedented in the history of the country. This has been attributed to the global shortage of health workers as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with current economic conditions. The latest Ghana Human Development Report says that 24% of nurses trained in Ghana are currently working abroad due to poor working conditions. The situation is even more critical for doctors trained in Ghana, with 50% having already left the country. The Ifia-Nkwanta Regional Hospital, the only referral facility in the Western region, is also being impacted by this. Some 40 health professionals have in the last 12 months left for greener pastures.
I can confirm that we've had, in the past few months, we've had quite a number of our staff leaving the shores of the country, just like in every other part of the country. For impact, as things stand, we haven't suffered any negative impact. And the reason is that we've got the numbers and we are strategically deploying them. And so services are going on uninterrupted. My fear, though, is how long we can sustain that going into the future. We don't know if things continue at this rate.
Meanwhile, in a bid to improve infrastructural development at the hospital, Dr. Joseph Tambil is appealing to corporate Ghana to come to the aid of the facility.
Currently looking at restructuring maternity, adding on a stroke unit, and so yes, we also are intending to add certain specialties that we currently don't have. For instance, urology. For a long time, we've not had a urologist on post. We're working on that. We're looking at also having burn specialists because the Western region, because of the number of industries and the mines and all that, tends to have a lot of burns cases. So we're looking at having.
Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, GHOne Mensah, has lauded the opposition National Democratic Congress's return to the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC, describing it as beneficial. NDC's boycott of IPAC meetings began in 2021 when it was called to review the 2020 parliamentary and presidential elections. Speaking to journalists in Accra, the EC's chairperson said the NDC has made significant suggestions since its return to IPAC. The leadership of the NDC explained that they rejected the invitation to be part of IPAC due to some perceived biases of the EC. NDC eventually announced its return to IPAC in December 2023. The Regional Functional Executive Committee of the NDC in the Central Region has withdrawn parliamentary candidates for the Asin Central constituency, Nurain Shaibu Mijima, for anti-party conduct and immoral act. following interrogation and deliberations on the reports of immoral acts and anti-party conduct received by Regional Functional Executive Committee against the Asin Central MP candidate Nurain Shaibu Mijima. The meeting held on Tuesday, June 25, 2024. The Regional Functional Executive Committee, after conducting its preliminary investigation and examining the matter, resolved that Nurain Shaibu is withdrawn as the 2024 Asin Central parliamentary candidate of the NDC with immediate effect. According to the statements released by the Central Regional Executives of the party membership of Nurain Shaibu Mijima stands suspended until final determination of his case by the Regional Disciplinary Committee. Flagbearer of the NDC, John Mahama, has called on the Muslim community to remain united and preach peace ahead of the 2024 general elections. Speaking during a courtesy call to the National Chief Imam, John Mahama expressed optimism that the NDC will win the presidential and parliamentary elections.
As I said, traditionally every year I come to exchange greetings with my father, the National Chief Imam. I sent him a cow to enjoy the Salah, and so I came to find out how, his Salah had been. Aside from that, recently I heard he was not feeling too well. I'm happy to come and see that he's in very good health, and I want to thank him for the prayers that he has been saying for me, and to ask him to continue to pray for me and my party, the NDC. We know that this year is an election year, and we're praying that God should let us conduct this election peacefully, without any disturbances, without any violence. And may Ghana continue to prosper and be peaceful before, during, and after the election. And may my party, the NDC, win both the presidency.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in partnership with the GHOne Foundation, has renovated the Kentucky Tewia, the first cluster of schools. The school, before its renovation, was in a sorry state, with pupils and teachers struggling with academic activities. Speaking at the unveiling, His Royal Majesty Kentucky Teiko Suro II reignited calls for the Ghana language to be taught compulsory in all basic schools in the Greater Accra region, and urged stakeholders of the school to ensure the facility is maintained.
The Kentucky Tewia, the first cluster of schools in Adabraka, which was bedeviled with poor infrastructure, has been facelifted with a number of academic facilities, including a newly built library stocked with over 2,000 books, ICT laboratory, a newly built AstroTurf football pitch, and a 60-seater spectator stand, newly constructed 8-seater toilet facility, renovated 12-unit primary school block, 6-unit junior high school block, among others. Speaking during the event, President of the Ghana Traditional Council, His Royal Majesty Kentucky Teiko Suro II, emphasized the importance of education and reiterated calls for the study of Ghana language to be mandatory in basic schools in the region.
To the Minister of Education, we are grateful for the recent efforts in restructuring the posting of Ghana and Dangbe graduate teachers who have been posted out of this jurisdiction. We still have a backlog of Ghana and Dangbe graduate teachers, and we request that they are posted within the Greater Accra region to fulfill the deficit of graduate teachers of the two most important languages in the Greater Accra region, Ghana.
According to the president of the Africa West area of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which fully funded the project, a brighter future for the people of Adabraka and its environs through education has been unlocked.
In the Africa West area, our humanitarian efforts are focused on 3 areas. One of our priorities is health. In March of 2023, we had the honor of presenting our church's donation to the Princess Marie Louise Hospital with His Majesty. We procured baby incubators, ventilators, patient monitors, and computers because we wanted mothers and children to be taken care of. Another priority is something we call WASH. It is water, sanitation, and hygiene. We are currently working with the GHOne Foundation to construct boreholes in 10 local communities.
Various stakeholders who were present at the commissioning expressed their excitement about the renovation of the school as the project brought joy to parents, teachers, and the pupils.
Bringing back our earlier story, government has assured residents whose properties are affected by the ongoing dualization of the Kaswa-Winneba stretch of the Accra-Cape Coast Highway will be compensated. Traditional leaders in the affected communities had lamented delay in payment of compensations during a visit by the Minority Caucus of the Roads and Transport Committee. But addressing the media during a visit by members of the committee to the site of the project, CEO for the Ghana Highway Authority, Collins Donko, and Chief Director of the Ministry for Roads and Highways, Engineer Dr. Alhaji Abbas Muhammad Awulo, disclosed though some compensations were paid in 2006, and assessments will be done to ensure everyone with a legitimate claim is paid.
The community members affected by the dualization of the Kaswa-Winneba Road had expressed concerns about delays in payment of their compensation. Speaking to the matter upon the visit by the Roads and Transport Committee, the officials of the Ghana Highway Authority as well as the Ministry of Roads and Highways indicated that some affected residents have already been paid their compensation since 2006. However, much time has elapsed, and if there are any new claimants of compensation, an evaluation will be done and compensation be paid.
With our reservation, when we took the reservation, very few, structures, most of them kiosks and containers have sprung up. That is natural. But if you look largely at the major properties, they have complied, and it's kudos to the law-abiding citizens along this carriageway that will continue to engage them and for them to protect the reservation, because if you want more electricity, you want more roads, we should have the space to put them. So they have done very well.
We pray that there will not be any encumbrances where people frustrate the process to stall the project and even to extend the completion date. So that is why we are hoping, and I'm happy that you have assured that Ghana Highways Authority has a data, and let's fast track and see those people that have come up claiming that they have to be compensated, whether they are within the right of way or they are outside the right of way. We'll look at it and quickly we can pave way for the contractor to also have his peace of mind. But so far,
the committee also visited the almighty Otrekon Bridge, which weeks ago got flooded, leaving water running into several homes within the enclave. Now, the contractor is still struggling to find a lid to this particular problem. He solicited for assistance from the Roads and Highways Ministry to ensure that the new bridge that is under construction is done on time to contain the huge volumes of water running under the old bridge at Otrekon.
The existing relief culvert is way too low compared to the existing. So we had to open it up for the water to flow through the existing bridge, whilst we make another arrangement for a bigger capacity diversion. So we are in talks with the bridge maintenance unit to provide us with a Bailey bridge to help us with the diversion so that we can resume the construction of the deep foundations. Because currently, this is the piling rake that was involved in the construction of the piles, but because of the flooding and because of the fact that we can't close it, it's been sitting idle for over 2 weeks. and he's not happy with that. He wants to move the machine. So we are pushing for the bridge maintenance unit to provide us with a Bailey bridge so that we can resume work.
One other complaint which has been on the lips of commuters plying the Accra-Cape Coast Road is the issue of congestion and lack of enough diversions. The Chief Director for the Ministry for Roads and Highways, Engineer Dr. Abbas Aholu, speaks to the fact that enough measures have been deployed to address this particular challenge.
Yes, Honorable, there's a bypass. I think severally it's been advertised. But when you come to Kaswa at Crispo City and you go on the Opekuma Road, there's a road that brings you back to Big Apple, which is Big Apple is a little bit beyond there. So the contractor actually went and graded and improved the sections. You remember we had some time that this road was. So when you use that road, you completely bypass what is happening here. For the big trucks, they have no other choice than to come here.
The final stop for the members of the Roads and Transport Committee is the project that is seeking to dualize the Madina-Dodowa Road. And of course, over there, the contractors are busily on site undertaking the project. However, there are concerns about, again, payment of compensations.
Properties that are sitting within the right of properties within the reservation. And we need to take a critical look at that and see how best we can first limit it. And also, because these days, the properties that are left, we need to find out if they have to be there, whether they have the building, the building permit, and how much it costs, and all that. So, if you have to demolish anything, you need to pay compensation before the person will.
Reporting for GHOne News, my name is Ibrahim Al-Hassan.
So watching Newsroom live on GHOne TV. Let's now bring you the very latest from the world of business. As the sun rises over the calm waters of Lake Volta, the bustling Yeji market comes to life, full of trade and community activity. But beneath this busy scene lies a troubling reality, broken promises and crumbling infrastructure. Peter Kwawadoto investigates the highly anticipated market store project in Yeji, uncovering shocking findings and hearing the heartfelt stories of the traders.
According to the governing New Patriotic Party's 2016-2020 manifesto tracker, tagged 2024 deliverytracker.gov.gh, a total of 9,345 infrastructure projects have been completed nationwide, with 8,650 still underway. The above data indicates that all 17,995 infrastructure projects promised to the Ghanaian people have either been completed or are currently in progress. Included in the list of completed projects is the 50-unit Yeji market stalls, which was marked as fully completed.
We travel to somewhere like Atebubu, let me say Kintampo, Techima. If you see the way they build their market, I can see there is difference between their market and ours. And I know definitely as time goes on, things will change. But right now, we are in our old system.
The ambitious Yeji Market Store project aims to breathe new life into the local economy by providing modern amenities for the traders. However, as we journey through the bustling streets of Yeji, it becomes evident that the reality on the ground paints a vastly different picture. Our team uncovered discrepancies between official reports and the stark truth faced by the traders.
People will start running with their basket of fish, them things. And if you enter the market, oh no, my brother, you need to see. It's very, very awkward. It's very bad.
Yeji features two major markets that are open weekly on Sundays and Mondays. The Sunday activities take place at the landing beach and the port, where organized stalls constructed many decades ago serve as the designated locations. Monday activities unfold in a traditional market setting that purportedly served as the designated location for the 50-unit stall project. Apart from these 3 stalls, comprising a total of 96 cubicles, there is no evidence of a comprehensive facelift. In addition to the market stall saga, the Yeji market faces a plethora of challenges, including congestion, sanitation, and the lack of security.
Bola kakrani jai inyina waha and I was one by a dijak to me on play Janny and the wisi quietly rooming in idea yebenya.
Ye need Tinambia ewe ye jigo. Enti ya this ready I to abaya ni muni say 2024 dear ye hear light, ye hear security, ye hear so mu be sigano, no mu siese mu no mu fa gate, no.
The absence of proper drainage at the Yeji market is also a pressing concern for traders. As a result, some market users, including cassava dough producers and chop bar operators, have been forced to dispose of their wastewater within the open market, leading to conflict among the various users.
Morifo eni bebia omunsuo omudigu omuhwe nsuegu egwanum sama force so omonye omo adwuma ya complain ya nyamo bia
esi ma nsa nsuo ngu gotam enti aban no be boae omudi ye echi edi ko ohene ho edi ye se ye twa tekiti awia ne anwumbre nyina omunji suso omun boae ojomu ha.
From broken promises to makeshift shelters, the challenges faced by the traders in the Yeji market are daunting. Yet amidst adversity, their voices ring clear, demanding accountability and action. Peter Kwao Adator's report for GHOne News.
That does it for business. Let's do sports now. That's it for the 60 minutes of newsroom. Many thanks for tuning in. I am Nadeema Umar Uthman. But log on to starfm.com.gh for more news. Good afternoon.